is relatively new to me, but many advocates seek to educate and raise awareness about the wastefulness of fast fashion and the fashion industry. Now, the person I first heard this term, the term fast fashion and sustainable style, and I'm not really too plugged into the fashion world, but the first time I heard fast fashion and sustainable style is from my guest today. We're on a route to a book club meet. She is a fashionista to me, always looking impeccable. Elaine Weeks. Elaine, good morning.
Good morning, Dan. How are you?
Doing great. Great to see you. And I got to say, looking stylish as ever.
Thank you.
Always very fashion forward.
Thank
I'm
you.
going to go ahead, before we dive into, sustainable style, I'm going to go ahead and take a wild guess that this is a thrifted look you have here.
You're very astute. Yes. Yes, it is. From almost top to bottom. These earrings aren't.
Wow.
But everything else, yeah. My top, my jacket, my skirt, my shoes.
Beautiful, though. Really, I mean, I only know that because I know you, and this is what you do and the topic today. But
yes.
It's gorgeous. It's a great look. It's very unique. Like I said, it's very fashion forward.
And I got a bit of sparkle going on.
You
of
do.
course.
It almost like runs the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yes, it is.
That's what it is. Yeah, it's great. I love beautiful. It's that color pop. It's great. So
Thank
you have
you.
a YouTube channel. This is something you're passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
What turned you on to sustainable style?
Being a college student mainly.
Really? Yeah, really.
Going way back to those days back in, when you really didn't have much money to spend on anything, let alone clothing. So thrift stores were the way to go. And I just got into the habit from there. And also because of my family upbringing. My parents grew up in the Depression.
Right.
So if you know anybody that had parents that survived the Depression, you know that they don't like waste.
Right.
And my dad especially was super conscious about that. So I guess it's just in my blood. And I've always been an environmentalist. Right. So I feel that it's just a natural progression for me to think about, okay, all the various ways a person has in terms of their impact on the planet and their carbon footprint especially. Right. So I just started thinking more about clothing and choices I make, and I love going to thrift shops, and I just thought, oh, well, this is a really fun way, an inexpensive way to keep looking good as I get older, especially when you don't, I have to be careful, right, these days, what we spend because of the cost of living going up all the time. So then I started being more aware of the impact on the environment that making clothes and disposing of clothes has on the planet. And it was becoming a little more frightening every time I read a report.
Yeah,
saw a fact.
And that's the thing, like the term fast fashion, it's literally, it's everything is so accessorized, and what do you do with accessories? They last for about a minute, then you chuck them in the garbage and move on to the next trend and whatnot. And fashion is so trendy. It is such a trendy thing, right? So
intrinsically, it's trendy.
Yeah,
so
by nature.
Yes, because we always want to look like we've got the latest fad or the latest trend going on with our clothing, but you recycle looks. In fact, that's what the fashion industry has done throughout, the last 100 years, is recycle looks from various decades. So
right.
Why not hang on to the clothing that you have already and just, think of new ways to use it.
So I was saying to you during the break, for our listeners, we were talking about fashion. I said, I'm not really too plugged into the fashion world, but I said, I'm dressing very, jeans and a plaid shirt and a t-shirt underneath. I've been dressing this way since 1991. So I've never got a style. It's very neutral. Plaid shirt, jeans, you can't go wrong. But how would you describe, Elaine, the environmental impact of the fashion industry, particularly when it comes to waste and pollution? I know you're very well read on this topic.
Yeah, well, people are pretty shocked when I mention things like the fact that there are garbage dumps, mainly of clothing, in various locations in the world, especially in developing countries. Like there's a desert in Chile that has a clothing dump, and it can be seen by satellite. It's that huge. And the problem is that there's so much fashion produced constantly. Every week there's new fashions coming out from various fashion companies, and so you can't keep up with it. It's impossible for the world to keep up with this volume. So a lot of it ends up being shipped to different countries, because not only is it maybe sold and then tossed, but a lot of times stores aren't selling all the clothes. It's just impossible to sell that much. So they get shipped on these giant container ships, which is again another wasteful and has a huge impact on the planet, to these countries where supposedly it's going to be resold or sold, and then they just don't have enough it's too much. So that ends up in these dumps, and then it just looks like it's a disaster. Seriously, a total disaster.
And I'm being honest when I say this too. This is something I had not really considered until you brought it up at the book club when we were on our way there, and I kind of started thinking about it. And I thought, what an interesting topic this is. Can you explain the concept of, and I love this, again, this is from you, sustainable style, and why it is so important to the impact, and how do we shop in a way? We want to keep our style, but we want to be sustainable as well. Any tips? Because you're someone who knows what they're doing.
How do we shop in a sustainable style?
Yeah, sustainable
to look
way,
sustainably stylish.
Yeah, sustainably stylish. Just some alliteration for you right there.
Yes, without looking like, oh my God, she's gone to the thrift store. I can tell.
That's what I think people are fighting with.
They're afraid of that look, and really, what it is, you have to buy things that relate to you, that speak to you, that spark joy. And so it could just be something from a new top to maybe a dress or a little jacket. And it can make such a difference in the way you feel about how you look. You think, oh, I just bought this for $10. It was only $10. Look how beautiful it is. I can't believe it. Why does somebody even not want this anymore? This is what I'm often thinking when I'm at the thrift store. Really? Somebody didn't want this? It's so gorgeous. I have bought incredible sequin dresses for $10 that I wear to the disco Inferno.
Right.
And nobody would ever guess I only paid $10 for that dress.
I went to a wedding once with a friend, and I brought her just as kind of my date for the night. And she was wearing a dazzling dress. It had sequins. It was beautiful. And she had so much pride. She goes, "Hey, Dan, this dress, $15.
Yeah.
I was like, no way. And you'd never know. And she bought the accessories and everything from the thrift shop too. And she put this whole thing together, and it was beautiful.
Yes.
I think she might even have the shoes from the thrift shop.
Oh, yes.
And the whole outfit cost her, I think, under $25, whatever it was. But I thought, wow, that's amazing.
Yes. Yes. In fact, you can buy wedding gowns at the thrift shop.
Yeah.
And you can even, if you don't quite like it, you can just have it tailored, and it's still going to cost you a fraction of what it would cost to buy a brand new one.
It's so funny. I don't want to put words in her mouth, but if my sister is listening, I am 90% certain she bought a secondhand wedding dress. And it was beautiful. You would never know. It was a wedding dress. It was a full-blown wedding dress. It was the white with the veil, the whole shebang. And she might have bought the veil, but it was a secondhand thing, and it cost her, it was very, very affordable. I forget what it cost, but it was not what you'd expect for a wedding dress that looked the way it did.
Yeah. It's just, like, why not?
Yeah.
There's no shame in secondhand.
No, there isn't. It's funny, too. A lot of the bands that I used to follow when I was growing up, when I was in college, they almost had the thrift store aesthetic. I followed a lot of punk bands. I followed bands like the B-52s and the Go-Go's, and they had the thrift store aesthetic going, and they made it really, really cool because it was eclectic. It was stuff you can't find anywhere else. It's stuff that has to be put together, take some creativity, and I love that it's conscious to do that. Any tips, as somebody who knows their way around a thrift store, I imagine, any tips for people who do want to get into this more sustainable way of shopping?
Yes. Well, the thing is, it can be daunting if you go to a large thrift shop, such as one of the Value Villages here, and then, so generally what I do is I head to, if I'm looking for something in particular, I head to that row for dresses, women's dresses, or shorts, etc. So you just go there and you kind of take your time, and you might feel overwhelmed, but then all of a sudden you start seeing the things. And also I find things on the floor a lot that drop.
Really?
And I feel as if somebody picked that out for me, because I've purchased many things from off the floor.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know what that's all about. So I guess, you'll see other people shopping, and you can actually talk to them about what they found in their, what they have in their cart, like, wow. Oh, yes. Yeah. I've done videos for my YouTube channel, Glam Time with Ms. E, where I've gone to Value Village or some other thrift shop locally, and I'll take my thrifting buddy, Adele.
Oh,
she's incredible. Yes, she finds things for me as well. So I would recommend going with a friend, especially an experienced one, or even if you're not, just it's more fun.
Yeah.
And I'll see other people thrifting, and I'll notice, oh wow, where'd you get? Like, wow, how come I didn't get to see that first?
Yeah.
Darn. And I'll do a little video if it's okay with them, and for everything. And the shoes are incredible. Like the things I found. Yeah, and boots.
Right, yeah.
Oh.
Well, you know,
sandals, you can name it.
the last time when I normally go into a thrift store, and usually it might be valuable, it's a bigger one, I want the biggest possible, is when I'm in a show, a theater show, and I need
Yes.
a certain outfit that a character would wear. Maybe it's something I wouldn't normally wear.
Mhm.
Like, oh, it's a detective, need a hat and an overcoat. Like, I don't have that, so I will go there.
You don't?
I believe it or not, I do not have an overcoat.
Oh my God!
But,
Wow.
but I've never not found it at value. And as outlandish the character can be, I find an outfit that suits the character thrifting, which is so much fun.
Oh, yeah.
But usually when I am shopping for something specific, I will say, ooh, there's also these really nice corduroy pants here. There's this nice plaid shirt here that's in good condition as mine. So I will pick up and add a few additions to my wardrobe for usually under $10, which blows my mind. Any favorite thrift stores locally? For you?
Oh my goodness! I want to do a shout out to Maycourt
Yes.
Club of Windsor.
Yes, wonderful.
Because that is a true charity shop. They don't charge tax. It's all donated. The volunteers are, only volunteers work there. And the things you can get there are incredible. You can get things for $1 sometimes, nice tops or dresses even. I have bought some really lovely things there. And it's almost scary for me to go in there because everything's so affordable. And I think, I really don't have room for this.
Right.
Oh my goodness, get me out of here.
I get the same way when I go into stores too. I'm a sucker for the used record stores, and usually I will purchase, and I say, okay, I have to stop looking now. This is my limit. This is all I can get, and I'm out of here.
Yes.
But Maycourt is great too. What they do, you mentioned, why didn't I see that first? They will do little shopping parties where I think they charge everybody like a flat rate that goes to charity, and they close the store down, and you have it to yourselves. So it's just you and your little crew of friends having the whole place to shop.
Goodness.
So Maycourt does that too. I've had them on the show before. They're wonderful.
Oh, wow.
For all the right reasons.
I also have to give a shout out to my friend Pam, who owns a resale shop. That's another way to buy pre-loved, gently used clothing, where you might have you're kind of worried about going into an actual giant thrift shop. Her shop is like a boutique, and she will help you find things, and she has incredible taste. She's on Wyandotte at Lincoln. Audrey's Closet.
Oh, I know Audrey's Closet.
Yes, and I've bought many things in there as well. And she'll sometimes call me and say, I just got something in you might like.
Oh,
I'm
nice.
like, oh dear, really?
Why are you telling me this?
Yes.
Now I got to go down and start
no.
shopping. Do you see any challenges? I feel like we're at a tug of war right now. Like you mentioned, people are having a bit more struggle. The cost of living is going up. A lot of people are on a fixed budget too. So there's that. But we're also such a society now where we want things immediately. We want things fast. At our fingertips, we have our phone, and you can get something delivered via Amazon, sometimes that same day. Do you find that being a tug of war, that being a challenge for this type of thing? Because it's almost dual, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And also because of the pandemic when we were locked in.
That too,
And we really became hooked on ordering online and getting things and getting that instant gratification because we really needed it then. We felt so deprived. So that whole conditioning is with us, I think. Today, and it's almost as if there was more of a higher growth of these types of companies that took advantage or saw the opportunity to provide the need, fill the need or the wants of people who were stuck at home. So now that we can get out, these companies still exist, and I think that's partly why they keep churning out new things all the time, because they're trying to capture people's attention. Because now they're not stuck at home. Okay, we got to make sure that they're going to see this beautiful new, fancy, crazy looking. Sometimes it's almost things you would never wear, but they still produce it and they make it so cheap, $9.99 on Zara.
Would you say all your clothing or your wardrobe is mostly thrifted?
Yeah, I'd say about between 90 to 95% of my clothing, my wardrobe is thrifted, or things that I've had for many years and I just hang on to because they were, I've grown attached to them and they have significant sentimental value in a sense. Like, oh, I remember wearing the,
Totally.
So, like you, 1992 shirt,
1992 plaid on right now. Yeah. This one's a little younger than that, but it's same style though. Same style.
Yes.
I've had this one
classic
Canadian.
Since
2008 though. I'm not kidding. I probably had this since 2008. This shirt. I really have.
Yeah.
Accidentally. I'd like to say I'm doing it for sustainability, but really it's just laziness. I haven't. It's in good shape. I haven't thrown it out. It still fits, so I'm keeping her. Yeah.
Well, you're on the radio too.
Exactly.
You
Right.
don't need to be, looking like you just came off of the cover of GQ or something.
Exactly. If we were in PJs right now, nobody would know any different. The joy of it's why part of why I chose this career. I don't have to wear a tie to work every day. So it's great. But Elaine, I think it's so cool. Now, if somebody does want to watch your YouTube video, it's called Glam Time with Miss E.
Yeah, Glam Time with Ms. E. And the tagline is fit, fab, and frugal over 50.
Love it.
Yes.
And you do look phenomenal, as always. You
Oh,
really
thank
do.
you.
I always spot you at different events. I see you at the Pride Parade often. You are decked out head to
Oh,
toe.
yes.
And you look amazing all the time. You're a head turner. You really are, especially with your clothing. It's a huge part of who you are. So I love that you've
Thank
taken this
you.
and made it part of your branding and educating us too on stuff.
I'm
like this.
trying. I'm doing my bit.
It's great stuff. Elaine, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me, Dan.
Elaine Weeks, again, look her up on YouTube. Glam Time with Ms. E. Some sustainable style. And she is styling. She really is.